you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, this is Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Let's see there. She's a little late to the party today, but welcome. The Iron Lady sings it. As always, welcome to the show, my family and friends. The Chris Voss Show for over 16 years, now going on 17 years, nearly 2,100 episodes. We're bringing the Chris Voss Show. As always, the smartest people on the planet, the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House presidential advisors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, the news agents. People bring their stories, their education, their knowledge to the show. You guys get 2 to 4 new episodes a weekday. Make sure you tune in and listen to every single one, damn it, or you might miss all the fun comedy and the brilliance of the people that are the guests on the show. I'm just the idiot with the mic, but we just have the smartest people on. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today we'll be talking to a wonderful young lady. Komal Bazaz Smith is the Chief Business Officer of Global Cyber Alliance. We'll be talking to her today. Did I get that right, Miss Smith?
Yeah, you did. Komal Bazaz Smith. So good. As long as you don't call me Camel, I'm good.
I'm learning all the new stuff. Give us a 30,000 overview and a .com for you of what you do there.
Yeah, so I'm as you said, I'm the Chief Business Officer, but really what we are is we're an international nonprofit, and we view being safe online as a fundamental right. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. If you're going to be online, you should be able to be safe. You should feel comfortable engaging with the internet in a way.
Where's the fun in that?
It makes it a lot less fun. I'll be honest with you.
I like living on the edge.
Yeah, we live on the edge on an everyday basis. So we're trying to reduce that risk just a teeny bit for you. But yeah, that's basically what we're trying to do. We're trying to, we work with a ton of different kinds of communities. We're trying to keep the internet a little bit safe as much as we can. And we try to help people and organizations be more safe online. That's really, at the end of the day, what we're trying to get done.
And you need to be safe online. There's a lot of dangerous stuff online. A lot of dangerous stuff coming through the emails, clickbait, all sorts of different things. You click the wrong thing, man, and suddenly your computer's taken over. You
could go down a rabbit hole. I mean, I keep thinking about it like with my mom or with my kids. Yeah. Before I gave my kids a phone, I had to really think about that. What does that actually mean? What am I exposing them to? It's great because they have so much opportunity, but there's a whole host of other things you have to think about too. So we're all the same.
Yeah. I think I saw one time a thing where when a young person, maybe 12 or 13-year-old kid, as soon as they can get on Instagram, I think 13 is the new age or something like that. Or it's supposed to be. Let's put it that way.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, it's supposedly 13.
The rule is supposed to be 13. Wink, wink. And I think they know that and profit from it. That's why I'm being sarcastic. I know TikTok kind of got away with it, and then they didn't. I think they got fined a bunch of money for underage applications. But no, as soon as they get on, within minutes, they have, dudes that are pedos, hitting their DMs.
Yep.
And, parents really have to think about this stuff. They really need to, decide. I have one friend who's got 2 or 3 daughters, and they're fairly, impressionably young, and I think in their low teens. And, he has to explain to them some of the girls and some of the activity on Instagram that they see that this isn't normal. This isn't what you're supposed to do. And this is, maybe a unique group of people. But, I can see as a father, you don't want your daughter on OnlyFans.
You don't want your daughter on it. You don't want your son on lots of things. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of, education that happens, and we don't really work so much with the super young folks. But at the end of the day, we do have tools and platforms that sort of work with younger folks. We have something called Cyberflex. We have toolkits for kind of individuals and small, medium businesses. But at the end of the day, like, how do you keep yourself safe? What are the kinds of things? How can you make it as easy as possible? So those are just some of the problems we try to tackle over it.
What I do is I cover myself in tinfoil and then put a tinfoil hat on, kind of like that scene from.
How does that work out for you, Chris?
I don't know. I think it's working. I can feel a vibration glow, but I might be sitting close to a magnet, so I'm not sure what that's about. So you guys' intent is to work with communities and improve the internet and help people and organizations be more secure online. So you guys have a community that people can join and get involved in. Tell us how people can get understand that better. I noticed there's a download here of your overview and different things you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can join you can go to globalcyberalliance.org and become a partner. We have a lot of different ways that we work. So basically at the end of the day, we're trying to keep the internet safe. We're trying to do a couple things to make the internet more improved, and we're trying to keep people safe online. But we do that in 3 different ways. And that's one of the reasons why I loved coming to the Global Cyber Alliance. I am not a cyber geek. I'm not a tech geek in any way, shape, or form. And so I came at this with a very, very different background. I've done business strategy work for 20 plus years, especially kind of in the social impact, the international development, and the innovation space. And one of the things that I loved and why I came to GCA, to Global Cyber Alliance, is because we work at so many different levels. We work with the end users, people like yourselves, small businesses, journalists, to help them kind of keep them safe. We work with those folks that you don't really know all that well, like people that own networks and internet infrastructure operators. But these are the ones that kind of have so much sway in terms of what happens on the internet every day. And then we work even at the ecosystem level, where we're really working with like governments and businesses and, philanthropies that have a whole host of incentive to kind of make sure that the internet is safe. That said, there's not that much money that's going into making sure that the internet is safe. We're trying to create awareness around this issue. We're trying to make sure that people know that there's a lot of vulnerabilities in the internet. We're trying to make people understand sort of what is at stake. You and I are on a podcast. We're on a platform where we're leveraging the fact that the internet is running and it's secure and it's okay and Wi-Fi is working and all of that. But if that gets crashed down, and all the things that we do online every day, that can get interrupted in any 1 second. One small mistake can make that go away. And so we're just trying to make sure that's secure.
Definitely. I mean, a few months ago, I had I was checking in on my Bank of America account. Or no, what it was is a couple months ago, I got a message on my email. And I have an alert when it gets below a certain point to let me know, because, you don't want anything to bounce. And, I have multiple bank accounts for the businesses and for me. And so my Bank of America account sent me an email and it said, you're below your threshold. And I'm like,
that's weird.
And I knew there's a lot of money in the account. Yeah. So I'm like, where'd all that money go? Yeah. So I open up the app and it doesn't even have an amount for me on my account. It just has dash.
Oh God, that's really not good.
And I'm freaking the hell out going, maybe I've been hacked. Maybe I have no idea. Where's my money? Mob. I sound like a mob guy. Where's my money? And so then I looked at I started panicking, freaking out because, it's money and you need it. And so then I looked at Bank of America's website, dash. I'm like, what the hell? And fortunately, I kind of went, there's outages, and I'm so used to outages. Before I called them, I looked on the internet and I Googled Bank of America outage, and sure enough, they were for
look at you.
Hours. And if you remember, this was like a month or 2 ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was, having some heart palpitations for a little while.
It's interesting. I think we don't really think about it every day. I mean, okay, so I don't know if I'm a sadist or what, but I love working on these big, complex problems, things that really can't be solved at the end of the day. And so this is one of them, right? Like, how do you actually make sure that the internet is secure? Just a small little, tiny problem. And, in I don't know if you remember, but in July, there was a huge outage all across the globe. It just was this big, huge internet disruption. And, about a month later, in the Atlantic Monthly magazine, there was a guy named Mateo Wong, and he wrote one line, which I'll just say is, a single company erred a single time. The web buckled and the globe shuddered.
Yeah.
And that's it. At the end of the day, that's kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about one internet disruption, which, just demonstrates the vulnerabilities that we're dealing with every single day. It can cost millions of dollars. It can shut down hospitals. It can result in preventable deaths because of the shutting down of the hospital. It disrupts critical services. So we're just trying to make sure that people think about, how do you invest in something so that you can make sure that what we are using every single day to live our everyday lives is safe and secure?
I believe it was a CDN provider, a content delivery network, that caused that outage.
We're friends with them, and anybody can make a mistake. So it was, it was CrowdStrike, but it was a big outage, and they do amazing work, but it can happen to anyone.
Yeah. And I mean, it's wild. We've done promotions for South by Southwest, and we'll be promoting, I don't know, some website or something, and somebody will be like, hey, we're going to push some cool things for South by Southwest, and somebody will push something that was supposed to stay in the sandbox as a test case to the public front side.
Yep.
And we're like recruiting people to go to their website, and we're like, did you know your website's down? Because the people we're telling, they're like, they can't sign up.
I can't actually do the thing.
And we're at South by Southwest, and they're like, somebody pushed something. And you
never know. I mean, and that's the thing. And look, at the end of the day, I mean, some of this is just window dressing. I mean, sure, it's fun to be able to access a podcast and things like that, but many people rely on this for their everyday livelihoods.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, the Chris Voss Show is a business online. You can't go to an office on 4th of May to see us, and it didn't used to be that way. I built most of my companies in the brick and mortar era. I know the severe difference.
When did it turn for you? When did you become totally digital, Chris?
We adopted early on. I mean, I was on during the days of Prodigy and CompuServe.
Oh wow, CompuServe, right?
Myself is how old I was.
Hey, I remember CompuServe.
I'll never forget when we graduated from 300 baud to 1200 baud, and that's download speed, folks. But that was like, it's very different than what you would think of 1200 now. I don't know.
I always tell my kids, I date myself, because when my husband and I first met each other, this was back in the days of it was in the 90s, and I was the first class to get email automatically. And, people gape at that. They're like, what do you mean you didn't have email before? And that's how people started communicating. You'd have the internet, you'd have to dial it up, and you'd have the little Telnet Godzilla.
Little screaming.
That's right. Exactly. But but it's funny. I mean, nowadays we think of it as so seamless, and some of the threats that we're starting to see in these coming years is, the threats are evolving. They're becoming more sophisticated. We're seeing that, the things that I used to tell my mom and my kids to watch out for, I can't even tell them to watch out for anymore, because it's so advanced and sophisticated. The internet it's evolving. It's becoming even more seamless. It's becoming even more intricate, and folks are using things like AI to make it even harder to catch criminals and cybercrime.
That was the next thing I was going to run by you. It's funny, just a few minutes before the show, I was checking my emails before we came on, and I had an email from Walt Disney, which is weird because, I think there's Disney Plus or something, right? And so I got this thing, and it says My Disney on it. Please review your payment information.
And you're like, I'm not subscribed to Disney.
I don't subscribe to Disney Plus because, I don't have any jokes for that. Anyway.
just cause that's fine.
I'm traumatized every time I look at Disney or Mickey Mouse. I don't know why. It's just a scar. It's
a big mouse.
Clowns.
Mice can be scary.
It is a big mouse. You have a good point. Now I'm even more terrorized. Thanks for promoting. I'm just making shit up, people. So I got this message, and I was like, what the hell? And of course I looked at it, and it has like I've got it pulled up here. It has about 30 to 50. It's like I-1000JK1. The .com is
very odd,
50,
right?
Yeah, very, very often, and it's from Salesforce.com in the end, which is probably somebody's database.
That's
and
right.
I was just like, that's not.
I'm going to delete that before John. But nowadays you can't necessarily do that. So that one was really obvious. But there are lots of times where I get emails, and one of the things that we try to focus on in our nonprofit, because again, we're trying to help those that are super vulnerable. there's folks that like big organizations or even profitable ones like yourselves that can handle maybe one hack or one small scam or something like that. But there's so many tiny mom and pop stores that just literally would be wiped out. They would be bankrupt if something happened to them. So, it's scary stuff because you just don't know what you're clicking on half the time.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot on the show where we have people that are getting ransomware, and it's it's not just the big agencies that can pay money; it's the small mom and pops, and they can't afford to.
They can't afford to,
and they usually have their shit backed up. I mean, there was a long time where we lived on the edge, and every now and then we'd lose something, and we'd have to call up GoDaddy and go, "Please, can you figure out our backup?" We even pay them for it, but yeah.
But I mean, you're talking about, back in the day in my previous job, I was doing international development, and I'd work with places like the World Bank or U.S. Agency for International Development, and we're talking like tiny 2-person shops in a village in India. They've got no disposable income. They've got no backup. They've got no GoDaddy. The minute a scam comes in or a misinformation rumor hits them and they are, targeted, they can lose their livelihood. They can lose all of their, savings, and they can lose their reputation, which is horrible in a tiny community.
Yeah, you don't want to lose your reputation.
No, nobody wants to lose their reputation.
Yeah, it can happen. And AI, I think, is going to make everything worse, isn't it? When it comes to these scammers and these different techniques they can use.
It's interesting. So everybody talks about AI. I mean, all of our funders are like, AI is the next big thing. And it is. I mean, it absolutely is. But at the end of the day, it's run by the internet. If the internet shuts down, there's no AI. And so one of the things that I've been trying to talk about with, some of our stakeholders and some of our communities is, how do you think about the internet? How do you make that more safe? And then maybe if we can make it more safe, then AI can actually be used for good rather than just, leveraged by cyber criminals and folks that want to do bad things on the internet.
Mm-hmm. So how do people get involved with you? Is the idea behind this that, everyone should get involved? I mean, who's your targeted client base?
Well, hey, tell me you know a lot of billionaires. So
billionaires. I don't know. That didn't turn out too well for Twitter. So
I know it didn't. I mean,
Jack was a piece of shit too. So that's my opinion.
There are so many paths, but yeah, no, there's lots of ways to get involved. I mean, come to globalcyberalliance.org, click on the link of getting engaged. There's a partners and how to work with us part of our website. We welcome emails to kind of come and talk to us. There's folks that we would really love to have people come where they either have a solution that they can help support the keeping of the internet safe, or there might be people that have funds that really want to help donate towards addressing this issue. But, in any way, shape, or form, if you're engaged in this work in any space, I would love to talk to you. And, at the end of the day, the internet's not magic. I mean, we think of it as just, you click a button and all of a sudden I can speak to Chris Voss and, we can talk to people all across the globe. I remember the time when, you used to have to write in the blue letter in the mail and send it to Par Avion, and you never know when it's going to get there. But it's actually, the internet is magical, but it is not magic. And it's actually held up by, tons of folks in the shadows. There's like the underbelly of the internet where people are, working every day to keep it safe, and they need funding and they need sustainable ways to keep doing what they're doing.
And I just signed up with your Mastodon. I think it's your Mastodon.
Oh, fantastic. Community. Excellent.
Oh.
I appreciate that.
Pretty cool. And so people can sign up with that. They can get involved in the community that's on there.
You can sign up via LinkedIn. You can come to us through Twitter. You can come to us through Mastodon, Blue Sky. I think we also have an Instagram account. So please come join us at any time. We welcome it.
Yeah. And I mean, basically, this is one of those things where if you want to influence what's going on your internet and the importance of it, you got to have a vote. You got to have you got to get in there, and I think we're all steward. I always say we're stewards of our democracy. All of us as Americans. That's why we're all given a vote.
That's right. And so much of democracy is happening online at this time. So
that's true.
Use that vote, right? Yeah,
use that vote. But you need to also care about what's going on the internet, because it's there's there's evil players that want to dominate it or take it over or use it for ill will. And, there's constantly, with Bitcoin and different cryptocurrencies, there's different ways that, people are moving money that maybe is illicit and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I always try to tell people, I mean, especially, like I said, my mom or my grandparents or somebody that just is, what is all this computer stuff you're doing? And the thing is, nowadays, the internet is our lives, right? It's not a separate thing. It's not, I have an online life and I have a in real IRL. It's one and the same. And so what I really try to tell folks is it isn't just up to those computer geeks over there and their hoodies and their sneakers and their sweatpants. They're not solving all the problems. I mean, they might be solving some of the problems, but
we're ashamed of how I dress.
You have a button-down shirt, Chris. You're all good.
Normally I'm in a t-shirt. I just do this for the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I am casual all the way. But yeah, it's up to all of us to kind of make sure that it's not just the strongest that keep ourselves safe, but all of us.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. Tell us about the thing that you have is the Common Good Cyber Initiative. What does that mean and why is it critical in securing digital future?
So it's a lot about what we were just talking about. There's the internet is not magic, right? So there's all these folks that are kind of working in the shadows to make sure that the internet is safe. There's nonprofits that are working on it. There's civil society organizations. There's individuals like people in universities that, two people shops that are kind of making sure that the time on the internet that you see on your screen is always kept up. These are folks that just do it out of the goodness of their heart because they want to make sure the internet remains the way it is currently. Mm-hmm. But none of us have funds. We're all doing it on our volunteer time. We're trying to kind of hustle and get as much money as we can so that we can kind of keep doing what we're doing and so that the internet doesn't buckle. And the Common Good Initiative is really trying to help sustain all of those organizations that are doing those everyday things to keep the internet secure.
Yeah, definitely important because security is everything.
If you're not safe, then how do you live life? We talk about it physically, but it's physically and internet wise, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough to live life.
Mm-hmm. Do you? And our brands are online. Like everyone's a brand now. Every human being is a brand.
I'm not a brand. You're a bit more of a brand than I am.
I'm more. I sell myself for money online. Go to onlyfans.com Chris Voss sells himself online. No, if you Google that, there's something wrong with you.
I'm not Googling that.
No one wants to see my OnlyFans. But no, there's so much business that transacts now. Most people's businesses are set up online.
That's right.
And their placard to, put out for, what they do and how they do it. I mean, you'd have a global wipeout of an economy if the internet ever went down.
It literally is. So I remember, back in my previous job, I was doing international development, and I've been in the digital space, and we were trying to kind of get everybody across the U.S. Agency for International Development and other groups that work in the international development space to think, oh, why should I care about this digital stuff? Computer hackers over there, it doesn't really matter. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, and I know we talk a lot about COVID, about how it was so much loss and so much, mental breakdowns and things like this. But actually what also happened was a lot of stuff was gained. All of a sudden, folks had to learn how to access healthcare online. All of a sudden, people had to figure out how to access schooling online. All of a sudden, people had to figure out how to access finances online and build their businesses online. And you'll see a huge, huge increase in people that are online using it for everyday things after COVID. And I think that just made it very, very clear how integral the world is in terms of dependency on the internet.
Yeah, it's we're dependent. I wake up in the morning and then I'm like, okay,
what's the first thing you do? You check your email.
Yeah, even my phone is based on Google Voice, so it's all internet. My phone, my calling, my calls that come in, it's all on the internet. If that internet goes down, you're kind of just sitting on your computer looking at it, going, "You're not worth much."
And you're looking at your phone, which is even more valuable sometimes. It's not nothing.
If it's able to get on, definitely waking up one day and looking at your bank and seeing all your money gone definitely wakes you up to the fact.
Definitely wakes you up. Exactly.
Like,
thank
God it was only like 2 or 3 hours and everybody was reporting it. So I'm like, okay, just calm down. Just breathe.
calm down. Wait for the outage to
outage. You'll get your money back.
Somebody in the bank had to restart a computer system, and then all of a sudden everything came back online.
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
You're
If you try turning the internet off,
always the solution to everything.
Do we still control the internet? Does the U.S. still control it? I know there was.
No, the internet is this, multi-stakeholder, vast, interconnected network. And that's part of the problem, right? If one government owned it, then we could maybe solve this problem. But no government owns it. So it's everybody's responsibility, which means it's nobody's responsibility. Wow. We're trying to solve this very, very large problem, but we're working at it little by little, trying to talk to lots of governments, trying to talk to people like yourselves, trying to get everybody to understand sort of the thing that we're trying to do and what's at stake. And so hopefully more and more people will join the fight.
Definitely, because if you don't, we're all stewards of it. So if we don't have a plan or stake in it and make sure that we try and influence what it should be to protect stuff. I mean, do we need to, I've always joked that we need to maybe have a death penalty or maybe one of those Iran extreme punishment sort of things for people who are hackers and cybersecurity violators, people that,
the folks that prey, especially on the super young or the super old, there's a, I don't know what happened. I don't know where they went wrong, but the fact that they're okay with doing that is horrible.
Yeah. I think we need stronger laws.
Yeah.
I think maybe if you're a hacker and you steal a couple million from people, we get to take your hands so you can't hack anymore.
Move to a different country and maybe you can kind of get those laws going.
Yeah.
But some of it can be regulated. Some of it can be laws, some of it can be regulated. But at the end of the day, nobody really owns it. So what laws do you put in and how do you enforce it? And who are the things, how do you do all that? So I think that's the kind of stuff. I mean, there are folks that focus on cybercrime and they find these criminals and they do stuff with them. I don't really know what they do, but hopefully we can catch more and more of them.
Yeah, I just think there needs to be stricter laws. The other thing I think there needs to be, I think there needs to be stricter criminal or civil punishment of companies that are really reckless with people's privacy things. Like it used to be, like I get some sort of email every now and then from this company that Pound, PWED or something, and they tell you when your password or your personal information has been discovered on the internet as being in hacker databases because Walmart got hacked or what was the other one? It was which one of the big three credit bureaus got hacked? Equifax?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually the government got hacked a number of years ago. I don't know if you remember that, but in 2014, it was a huge scandal where so much security data got leaked.
Oh yeah.
But, there are like privacy regimes. So I don't know if you know the GDPR in Europe. There's actually one in the US called CBPR. So there are rules, but it's hard to enforce them. And I think, we
need better laws.
We need better laws. We need better regulatory systems. But I think that's part of the whole point about the internet is it was this wild, wild west for so many years. Like it was just this thing that grew and it was organic and beautiful and people were building things and innovating and it's been fantastic. But I think we've reached that nadir where we're kind of like, okay, now we actually might need some norms and some rules and some structure around all of this stuff.
Yeah. Copyright stuff, AI has got lots of lawsuits going against it where people are like, hey, you scraped the internet. You stole our music, you stole our art, you stole, they're scraping books, they're scraping everything. They probably scraped the Chris Voss show. And
they put a deep fake on you, so now it doesn't even look like you anymore.
Yeah, they're probably that. It probably looks better anyway. That's why I've let it slide. But I'll hear about these companies that they're like, yeah, we had everyone's passwords and private data in a text file that was openly available on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Why was it openly available on the internet?
Somebody should go to jail for 30 days. Somebody should get, $1 million fine. There should be penalties. And the reason it keeps happening is because there's no of these enforceable penalties. And so I really think there needs to be something like that.
I think they're growing. I think that there's more and more recognition across government. And, these are things that are sort of people know that this is an issue. People are seeing that this is an issue. And I think they're just kind of catching up to the fact of what exactly do we do about this? How do we handle social media companies? What are the kinds of things we can do where should we regulate? Where should we not regulate? How do we enforce and versus how do we incentivize better behavior? All of that's just getting started.
Yeah. And pedophiles too. Like, I've been just shocked when I'll see some giant bust of these pedophile rings, and they'll have like huge communities, and you'll hear about them in databases, and you're just like, what the effing?
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they all exist. All I got to do is figure out how to make sure my kids don't get on there.
Exactly. And there's things you don't want your kids learn. Like I always tell kids, pace yourself.
Yeah. You can't unlearn things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got 40 years to pick up some weird fetishes. Just stick with the normal
just don't
stuff.
do them yet.
Just pace yourself.
Right.
You don't want to go right to something crazy from the get-go. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll let people fill in the blank. What have we talked about what you guys do there that maybe we should make sure and people are aware of?
I mean, I think, we've talked about a lot of it. At the end of the day, every single person, we all have a role to play. Make sure you use multi-factor authentication. Make sure you have strong passwords, like all the things that your people say all the time. Keep your software up to date and make sure to run the devices, the security patches and things like that. But, at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is change behavior and bring all these communities together to really do something big. All of those things are important, and they're important for each of us to do on an everyday basis, but we're only one person each. So if we want to do something on a broad collective basis, we've got to work with a broad collective number of people. And I hope that we can get more and more folks to join our cause. And I think Common Good is one example. We do a whole host of other things, but we're trying to address, the internet safety in a wide variety of ways. And I think there's lots of different ways to join up in that. So if you're interested in end user communities, we have a program for that. If you're interested in helping support internet infrastructure owners and network operators, we have a program for that. Or if you're interested in supporting the internet, and the ecosystem of that, we have a program for that. So there's lots of different ways to get engaged.
People are like, now I got to manage the internet too?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to put up forest
fires. Add it to your to-do list,
Smokey the Bear guilted me about how it's my fault for forest fires. I'm just trying to put those out. Now I got to put up the internet? No,
you know what? You don't. Just engage with us, and we can help. We can help
there
do
you
that.
Go. Just be a part of the team. So yeah, I spend most of my weekends and nights out in the forest trying to keep.
Do you? Chris, where are you located?
I try to keep Smokey the Bear happy because when he was a child, he's only you can prevent forest fires.
I remember those commercials.
I'm 8. What the hell?
How am I responsible?
I'm going to live with this guilt for the rest of my life. Yeah, Smokey the Bear.
I love Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, I love him. He's a wonderful guy. But
are you? Where are you? Are you close to lots of forests?
No, I'm just doing a bit.
Okay.
I'm in Utah and Vegas.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But yeah, I just let it burn. I don't care. I give up.
I'm going to pretend that I didn't hear that.
F that Smokey the Bear dude. Freaking gaslighting me that only I'm in charge of forest fires.
Hey, it lit a fire under your butt, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
The ad worked. You still remember it 40 years later.
Beat me to the punchline on that one. Get a fire under your butt, folks, and join the Global Cyber Alliance. Give us the .coms as we go out. Tell people how they can onboard with you guys or reach out for more information.
Please come join us, globalcyberalliance.org. We welcome you. We welcome lots of folks to kind of engage with us, donate to us. We have lots of different programs that you can engage with and help us build up all of the different things we're trying to do to make the internet safer.
Make the internet safe, especially.
Make the internet safe. No small feet.
I can't imagine. My brother had a beautiful young daughter and son, and he, for the longest time, he wouldn't let him on the internet. And I'm like, this is the age of these kids grow up on the internet. You almost have to let them have it.
Yeah. It's a tough balancing act, Chris. It's, you want to get them engaged. You want them to know how to do it effectively. But at the same time, the minute you open that door, you can't close it again. So it's a tough balancing act that we all struggle with every day.
It definitely is. It's pretty crazy how all of it is out there. Thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You got it. And thanks so much for tuning in. Go check out Global Cyber Alliance. Get involved with what's going on the internet, because if you don't, the bad people will. So you have to care. That's how the world works. We all have to be stewards of making a better world, a better community, and a safer place for everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTokity, and ChrisVossFacebook.com. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.